And next up, we have a big announcement from a HITLAB tested technology called Sana, which is a platform that helps people with pain, and in our test helps people with a lot of other things as well, which is interesting in and of itself. HITLAB tested Sana back in 2019, pre-pandemic, and the results, again, the kind of HITLAB rapid emerging technology evaluation model that we used was an N=14, showed hypothesis generating results, but they were all very positive. And with that, we want to hand the virtual stage over to Sheldon Elman, the head and the co-founder of the largest digital health and venture capital company in Canada, and one of the global leaders in digital health ventures, and Richard Hanbury, the co-founder and the co-founder and the CEO of Sana. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Stan, and delighted to be here today, and delighted to have the opportunity to have Richard, talk about Sana. For the sake of full disclosure, I happen to be a very happy shareholder and investor in Sana, and have seen the after having done the due diligence, was literally amazed as to what Richard has accomplished with Sana and how this is a breakthrough in changing the lives of people using his technology. And without further ado, Richard, why did you, if you could take 30 seconds or a little bit longer, just to tell people how you actually got to this?
Certainly, and thank you, Stan, and thank you, Sheldon. Yeah, so age 19, I was driving down a road in Yemen near the capital Sanaa, that's the company name. I was forced to drive my Jeep off a bridge, 60 foot down into driver bed, so spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, aortic tear, and all of that resulted in a nerve damage pain problem that was so severe I was given a 5-year life expectancy. So all of the technology came out of the need to find a solution for myself, because standard of care back then is a little bit better now, but not much, and there aren't really any other solutions for long-term chronic pain.
And so how do you see the Sana device? And I have one right here so everybody can see this. It's sort of the Star Trek glasses, etc. But how does it work? And just give us a little bit of the science behind it.
Certainly, we're squarely in the field of neuromodulation. People kind of assume with headgear that, oh, you're doing VR type stuff. No, you're doing neuromodulation, but we're doing it with audio and a visual signal. So the person will actually put it on, turn it on, and in the reclined position or lying down, and through closed eyes, they're receiving pulses of light and pulses of sound, which are generating very specific patterns in the brain. So within neuromodulation, you've got magnetic stimulation, so you've got TMS, which requires you to go into a clinic. You've got the various levels of electrical stimulation, which require you to get that electricity through the skull. And audio visual just provides you with a very easy way of getting the signal we want to get to into the brain. And in the early days, I was looking at the effects of long-term meditation on the brain and how that improved health and wellness. One, I was trying to figure out how to improve my own nerve damage pain. And I came across the work of a guy called Maxwell, a neuroscientist called Maxwell Cade, who discovered that hemispheric balance, that basically each hemisphere producing roughly equal amounts of activity, appeared the longer you actually had someone meditating for. So I reverse engineered that process and used the way in which you can use light and sound inputs to recreate that balance. And that was the underlying theory. It worked for me. It wiped out all of my nerve damage pain over the course of 3 months. Haven't had any since. And we've just had the first bits of clinical data to back up the cause and effect of, if you improve hemispheric balance, you decrease pain.
So obviously the end result would be for patients with fibromyalgia, anxiety, opioid dependent pain relief, which is obviously another form of pandemic that we're all going through. Sana device can be an absolute godsend, no medication, etc. Wear it for 16 minutes and and on a daily basis, and you decrease. So what are the statistics that you've been encountering now, Richard? And just to tell everybody, this is a scientifically vetted initiative, both with HITLAB and multiple universities. So if you could just broach the subject as well. This is not voodoo. This is real game changer, breakthrough.
Certainly. So we've completed 4 pilots, and we have 2 120-person RCTs underway. The 4 pilots, the first one was device versus sham in a very controlled setting of 75 people, just to see, okay, really, is there something here? We got doubling of relaxation against sham, a tripling of reduction in pain, and a 5 times improvement in the increase in the high frequency component of heart rate variability, which is basically looking at autonomic nervous system regulation. Then we did an opioid use disorder study. We took methadone addicts going through full cold turkey withdrawal. And at the worst point of the withdrawal process, we had a 45% reduction in anxiety. Then we did a fibromyalgia pilot. And basically we got an improvement in quality of life of 45% on the standardized questionnaires, which means that we are 5 times more effective than the best-selling drug for fibromyalgia, which is Lyrica. In all of those studies, and the small pilot with the HITLAB, anxiety reduction was the biggest result. And now we've got 120-person RCT underway at Duke, which should read out in May on fibromyalgia, and another 120-person RCT at Mount Sinai on neuropathic pain. And hopefully the next study to start will be an anxiety study. So that's the broad range of what's going on at the moment.
So for those of you who are clinically inclined, that's diabetes, depression, anxiety, migraine, fibromyalgia. I mean, right now it is a real path to managing the pain of fibromyalgia. And but this is a virtual first subject, a virtual first symposium. How do you, this is a device, take us through a little bit of the technology and how you could do the feedback and all next generation. I mean, thank you.
Yeah, certainly. So when we started the Mount Sinai study, it started with in-person onboarding, and then COVID hit. So we switched it to fully virtual trial where someone was consented over the phone, device was sent out, and that models how we can now move forward. So someone could get prescribed or recommended it by a physician, a device to be sent out to them. Literally setting it up takes 2 minutes. It is downloading an app onto a phone. Someone is then controlling the device through the phone, and then the controls on the device, someone is literally just turning on and adjusting brightness and volume to suit and lying back. And then we're picking up heart rate variability data from the forehead, and then that is being relayed back into the cloud. And in the next generation of device, that will be turned into a closed loop feedback system. So we're personalizing that stimulation for each person in each treatment. And that'll be sometime around Q2 next year.
That's great. And so obviously you probably have some very happy investors, and could you just take us through the exciting announcements of what's been happening with Sana recently?
Certainly, we've just completed a $6 million raise, and that gets us through the FDA approval for fibromyalgia, plus also hopefully the first the first commercial proof, and then for a next larger round. We are also looking at, are we going to raise a little bit more extra now to increase the number of indications that we get through this year?
It's amazing. And I know you and I had a conversation, Richard. I used the device the other day after I had a migraine headache, and literally without any medication. And I'm a skeptic, as you know, I'm a skeptic but you convinced me and our team to invest in Sana. But when I used it myself, within 16 minutes, my headache totally disappeared, no medication. I mean, it was just quite astounding. And I think the impact that Sana will have on the population for chronic pain and as I said, addressing the opioid crisis will be absolutely a breakthrough.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, any indication where anxiety is a component, our rule of thumb is we expect to be able to help at least to the degree that that anxiety is there. So obviously that's the case in all chronic pain. Opioid deaths are largely a result of opioid addiction from self-medication of anxiety. Obviously, it starts with pain relief mostly. It starts with post-op pain, and we do have an MA on our study coming up with that. I mean, there was an audience question about neuropathic pain, and that result we'll have from Mount Sinai. But yeah, anywhere where anxiety is a factor, we can have an impact. So now the question is, given that we will have FDA approvals, hopefully at the end of this year and into Q1 next year, then how do we get this device out into the hands of all the people who we could potentially help? And that's what starts the partner hunt. We are having some early conversations with Sanofi about an orphan indication that they're particularly interested in. But that's what we're now looking for. Is we're looking for the people who probably potentially have digital health, anxiety, depression, pain solutions, and are looking for hardware that they can plug into that to turbocharge what they're doing.
I mean, it's so true, Richard, because and you're really not necessarily looking for money. I mean, money is relatively easy when you have a fantastic product like this. And I think for the people who are listening to this, for those of you who are suffering from chronic pain and are dependent on medication or antidepressants, et cetera, or have relatives or friends, you know the kind of trauma that we all go through for this, so both in ourselves and in our family members. And so obviously you're looking for distributors, partners, get the word out. This is, again, once FDA comes through, and even in the studies now, when we spoke to some of your subjects from University of Pittsburgh and through HITLAB, nobody wants to give the device back. I mean, what are we doing here, Richard? You know, like we got to get thousands of these devices out there, or hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, that's right. I definitely want. The aim is to get thousands this year, tens of thousands next year, and then hundreds of thousands the year after. And really, it's most people want solutions in addition to the drugs that are on the table and the tools in the toolkit. And this is a really good tool and toolkit. So it's giving people more choices and giving people more control over their life.
That's amazing. So thank you very much. I think we're getting pulled off the stage. This is not a total advertorial, etc. But for those of you, operators are standing by. Richard available. I'm available. Stan is available because this is something that will impact the population in a major positive way. No medication. So thank you very much, and have a great day, everybody.